But luckily for us, some Americans have seen the effects that lockdowns could have firsthand, but directs his efforts to helping those facing hardship. Joining us now is Matthew Barnett, a pastor and the founder of the Dream Center in Los Angeles. So Matthew, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight, and I appreciate what you're doing as well. I know a little bit about your organization, but I want to let you explain to our viewers what exactly you guys are doing during this time.
Well, Alex, it's been going on forever since March. You know, we have a big old hospital that's open every single day where about 700 people live free of charge who are homeless, families, people in addiction. People have been sentenced here out of the prison system, and they're living here, getting their lives back together free of charge for a year. But during the pandemic, what's happened is we have never seen a need like this in our entire life. We started feeding over 1.2 million people in our drive-through 7 days, 11 hours a week. And it's something that has put us on the edge every single day of the most unprecedented need I've ever seen. And just recently, we opened up our school, outdoor school for children who have no Wi-Fi access, no opportunity really to understand how this whole thing works. And they come to the Dream Center underneath this big old shed, and they learn outdoor in this incredible setting at the Dream Center here. So I've never seen anything like it in 26 years of being in Los Angeles, the need that's presented itself everywhere.
I mean, that's pretty amazing to hear, because I myself have lived in Los Angeles before. I've seen the homelessness crisis there, and it's a troubling thing that it's not addressed during normal times, let alone in this time right now. We're starting to see why it's so bad. But I mean, I think to the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic and really the sacrifices that Americans were willing to make for the greater good. I mean, they were asked to shut down their businesses. They were told that it would be for 15 days, I believe was the original time period. And now here we are, months later, and many people don't know how they're paying their rent every month. They don't know how they're putting food on the table because their type of businesses are locked down. They can't be opened right now. So I want to ask you, do you think that there maybe is a little bit of a elitist mindset when it comes to lockdowns because the people making the decisions aren't the ones who are largely affected?
Absolutely. Elitist is a perfect word. What's happening in our community is that these children are struggling. They're trying to go to fast food restaurants to find Wi-Fi connection. I mean, they're scrambling around with their mom's little phone trying to get any kind of connection. And what's happened is many of the people that can afford and absorb a 6 month of financial struggle, they're doing fine. But what's happening is the pillars of society have been torn down for our urban neighborhoods. Our schools, they can't go there. So the projects that we're also doing forced schools in housing project, they're being affected. Gang members are preying upon the young kids. They have nowhere to go. They're in these confined areas, and so we just go out there and visit them, just trying to bring a sense of normalcy. But it is an elitist position, and one of the reasons what's happened now in our communities is you're seeing those pillars torn down. The church, the educational system, and that's why we're just trying to fight on every front. Every day, we have to fight to stay alive, and we're going to do it because we believe that something good needs to stand strong in the city of Los Angeles.
And I think a lot of people in the community, too, kind of look at a local bar, for example, and recognize the fact that you can go get a drink so long as they are serving outdoors. Yet that same type of, I would say, almost flexibility isn't being applied to church, as you mentioned, or to schools, as you mentioned. It's the idea that kids aren't being sent back to school, and I understand that there's also teachers, there's also adults there who may be susceptible to getting coronavirus, but when it comes to kids, so far studies show that they're not as likely to transmit the disease, as likely to have as bad of an outbreak as many other people, but there doesn't seem to be an emphasis on the children, making sure maybe that they can have outdoor courses or making sure that remote learning is effective so far. Is that what you're seeing firsthand as you take that role of teacher?
Absolutely. They're the ones left behind. They are totally the ones in the shadows. And I was talking to a little girl yesterday during our little PE time. So we can't have equipment. So we just have to run laps with the kids. As a CEO, I'm out there every day with the kids. And I talked to this little girl and I said, what's going on in your life? She goes, well, I used to enjoy dancing, but I can't do that anymore. I can't go to classes anymore. So I've given up on that. When she said that, it really broke my heart. I thought, here's a young girl with a productive thing she's doing with her life, has given up on it. And I think a lot of the tone every day in the news has been wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance, over and over again. And what happens is all the kids, that's all they hear is a message of all the things you can't do in life. We're just trying to bring the can-do spirit back. And that's why I'm running around the Dream Center with little kids and doing laps, just trying to let them know that there's someone who loves them and advocating for them. But I feel from the government standpoint, everything every day is can't do this, can't do that, can't do this. And that psychologically has a major impact on some of our children.
And I mean, you don't even have to take someone else's word for it. I know that there's a lot of parents who watch this show who are experiencing the very same thing that you're talking about right here. I mean, even when I go throughout this building where I am right now and talk to some of the great mothers that are here, they talk about the hardships that their kids are facing. I mean, they're doing remote learning. They're doing everything they can to make sure their kid gets an education, but you can't substitute child-to-child interaction. You can't substitute that little girl, for example, and her desire to dance. You can't replicate that through online courses. It's something that I don't think people understand how serious of an impact this could have long term. We look at what's happening right now. I understand we have to get past this pandemic, but at what cost? And I don't think that conversation is always being had, but I appreciate that you are having that conversation and are even taking overt steps to help some of these people who are feeling the effects of this. So before I let you go too, is there any way that maybe our viewers can help your organization or learn more about it?
Well, they can go to dreamcenter.org, and any contribution would be a wonderful blessing to help us. We're probably going to have 200 students in the next week, to be honest with you. We've gone from 0 to 200 in like 3 weeks. That's how big this is going to get.
I mean, that's an extraordinary number just to hear right there. And it's a really interesting time where we're even having this conversation about really private individuals taking matters into their own hands because the government will not let people open up their shops, go to school, go to church, whatever it may be. It's a very interesting time. But Matthew Barnett, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight, explaining what you're doing in the streets of Los Angeles. Thank you.